Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's me, your sister, Alanisa Sada Salahadin. Welcome back to Her and Her Dean. You know where the goal, our goal is to make a little more holistic peace every day. Sorry, y'all, I was trying to change up my setup. My minis is asleep, so I got to do a little different, just a little bit. But they're upstairs, I'm downstairs. Mashallah, alhamdulillah. It's always a pleasure to be able to get right here in this space and share. You know, it's a pleasure to share. I do use my own content. I can hear myself when I do this. And so I'm grateful, alhamdulillah, mashallah, tabarakallah, for this space, you know. And thank you. Thank you for all of my new subscribers, for all of the people who like, comment, and share, for all of my friends and family, for all of my new sisters. Alhamdulillah, it is a pleasure. It is a pleasure to share this space with you. And so today, it's so interesting. Like, Allahu Akbar. You want to talk about this specific subject because it feels like it's something that needs to be said, right? But then Allah, God, Yah, whatever you call it, this relationship is between you. I'm not going to be the one to interfere with anyone's relationship with the source, with God, with Yah, whoever you whatever you call it. But it always has a way of putting the necessary topic right in front of you. And so today we are going to talk about losses, expectations, and I forget the other one. It was just there. It's losses, expectations. Forget it. It's going to be losses, expectations, and arrival. And in that order. Because, alhamdulillah, for understanding, even as a whole person, right? Whole person. We've all been trying to grow, grow. Literally, growth is not something that just happens. It is literally like a constant state of appearing to know what you're doing and then some kind of way getting thrown off, like completely thrown off, just off whatever course you're going. And so this is where we start with the losses. That's just one part of it. Because there's also the significant component of losses where it's a grief, it's a grief. And the loss before the grief is even worse. It's even worse. And I say that from a deep place that I've never really just nitpicked for myself and set with the decisions, but God, alhamdulillah, is so good that I've been given, I guess, the last 6 years of my life, I've been given constant moments of remembering, very significant. There go my earbud. I can't touch it because the Bluetooth is like so sensitive, right? And alhamdulillah, because I don't like wearing them anyway. They're so uncomfortable, but alhamdulillah. But the losses before the losses is very, it's an uncomfortable place. It's an uncomfortable place. It's an uncomfortable position because the uncertainty of who you are becoming in your mind changes. It changes. It immediately altered. It's immediately altered. And I say that because being young and thinking that you know what you want, and then you lose a loved one or a friend or a parent or your significant other, drastically changes how you even see your big picture, And so, like I expressed in a video before, I didn't want to go into too much detail. I experienced a loss of the love of whom I thought was the love of my life early in my life, like 19, 20. I was 20 years old, and I never even know, I never even knew that I really felt the way I felt about the person until they were no longer available to me. Man, that was like heart-wrenching, just like, why me, in the worst way times 10, because that person is gone. I'm still here, and I still have to figure the things that I had already penciled them into already were canceled, voided out, completely destroyed, dismantled. No way of ever manifesting, coming into fruition. And so it's like we can't root so much things in things that are not certain. And that brings me to expectations. The expectations of things that we aren't certain about are not real. They're only real to us because we can hold them for that thought process, or for the ideal initial conception of it to start. Like, that's just a part of it. It's like the growing a plant. You have all of the components of growing a plant. And so you have your seeds, you have your soil, you have even the pot. If you want to put in a pot, you know, the place in the ground, if you have a designated place that you want to put it in the ground. But you have all of the tools that you need, and then you would want it to be ready when you want it to be ready, because you expect having everything and doing everything the way that you wanted it done would mean that it's going to be what you want. The significance of it is going to be there for you. Our intentions are rooted like that in things that we expect. You know, we really hold it so strong and firm that it's, if you lose it before it actually comes into fruition, the expectation, what happens to that? What happens to all of that stuff? Does it go away? Is it lost too? Does it not matter? Like, what is it? You know? And so I've come to so many places of, like, me and my elder, we call it sifting. When we have to sit with so many things, the truth of who we've actually become based off of everything we've experienced, whether we've loved and lost, whether we've lost our way and we've made decisions that we didn't process wholeheartedly how it was going to affect us. But we go through this time period in research and development of ourself. Growth and development is what we call it, but it is research, because we're taking our time and combing through our own substance as women, because I tell her she's almost 100, and then here I am well over, you know, well, not well over, but I'm definitely not in my 30s. I'm 41. So we take our time and go through this sifting process of all of our stuff. And it's amazing how much of what we still expected, due to all the losses and the uncertainty, still manifested and came into fruition. It still came through even after having all of those interferences, all of those detours, all of that uncertainty that was overwhelming in some instances. You know, you think getting lost is something simple, like, oh yeah, I made a wrong turn. What if you make a wrong turn and you keep going? What if you like end up somewhere that you never ever foreseen your whole life being, because you stayed too long? So not only did you veered off of the path, you got lost, you made a wrong choice, you made a wrong turn, you made a wrong decision, but then you still had to follow it through for whatever circumstances and situations. But then you realize, okay, this is not the direction that I want my life to go in. What happens to all of that intention? What happens to all of that substance that you put out and put into this quality of life that you've been existing in? I have beautiful news for you, sisters. All isn't lost, you know? All is not lost. I know we were lost because of some kind of way we fell off of the course of the direction that we expected our life to go in. However, there's always, alhamdulillah, there's always a plan greater than your plan in the works. There's always a plan greater than your plan in the works, you know? Even having suffered a loss of to whom I thought was the love of my life, I still ended up with the greatest man that I've ever been with in my life. And it's amazing. I've been through so many things to get right here in this place. I've never felt so happy. But I know that it was not easy. As I sit here and say it to you, I know it wasn't that easy. I remember the days. I remember the cold days. I remember the lonely nights. I remember the days in between. I remember the sun shining on my face and still not feeling happy. I remember all of the moments of just the weeping, aching sorrow of having lost a loved one or even lost myself. Because upon losing your way, you lose bits and pieces of yourself. But the beauty is even those pieces are not as significant as that part of you that's still moving. You are still going in a direction. The goal at some point for us all is to literally get into the divine synchronicity of our own life, desires, qualities that are serving God first and yourself in that order. It is very important and imperative that we start putting that prayer, that asserted prayer before we start moving forward. It is very important that we start tapping in such a high divine level of, you know what, I don't know. I am lost, but God, please, Allah, please, guide me, give me whatever I need to get through where I'm going. And if this isn't for me, allow me to see it before it's too long and too late, you know? And then we have to listen. You know, a lot of us want to keep doing it because it feels good, it looks good, it feels great. You know, at the moment, at the time, yes, true and all, but there's a level of attendance we need to be paying attention to. Are you moving in the direction, in the time frame in which you would like? I have this thing where I assess everything that I'm doing after 6 months. And then that 6 months is a year, and then a year and a half, and then 2 years. If it starts to go the opposite direction of what I want, you say 6 months is enough time to commit to something and change your mind. Depending on what it is. You don't have to keep all your subscriptions right now. They offer you 30 days. Some of them even, they want it so bad, they offer you 14 days. Some of them know their product is so good, they give you 7 days. You know, then there's those short-term things that you can commit to 3 days, and then you can cancel at any time. Alhamdulillah, you get to set your own time of cancellation for something that is not giving you what you need, essentially, quintessentially, the value of your substance. Wholeheartedly, woman of faith. Why aren't you not paying attention to what it is you're praying for, and then what the direction is that you're going? You pray for something to take you forward, but then you will stay committed to something that's pulling you back. You know, in Islam, there's a thing of honoring and maintaining ties of kinship. You can do that without losing yourself. You have conversations with people that don't understand your intellectual value, and you exacerbate your conversation, your intellect. You're just like trying to prove a point and over-assert yourself. You don't have to do that. There's somebody in the world that really will value your conversation. If your significant other isn't that, I'm not saying cheat. I'm not saying maybe you should enroll in a college course. Maybe you should take a class. Maybe you should develop a hobby that's centered around you getting that intellectual stimuli. Maybe you should buy thicker books. Alhamdulillah for understanding. Like for some of us, we as intellectuals want to talk, but sometimes that intellectual component is about learning. It really isn't about a communication thing. My better conversations with my husband, although we're both very intellectually, very scholarly in our own right, some of my better moments with him is when I'm talking about stuff that ain't got nothing to do with what I'm trying to study and or produce a greater topic on. I know he understands those things, but for some strange reason, that intellectual value between us, that is what normally creates the dissonance and the disturbance in our natural, loving, peaceful environment. And then when we have our studies, that is when we both show up ready to give that 1000% to the study, you know? And that brings me to the arrival. At some point, when you realize that you're going in a direction that is the opposite direction of what you want to do, when you turn that direction around, you arrive right there where you need to be to make every intentional move going in the right direction. It's not simple, but it's simple. It's something that's going to require your attention. We use words like consciousness and conscious and in woke, but what does it really mean for a person who's living a life that is not fulfilling, going in the direction that they want their life to go? Do you have a 2-year plan, 3-year plan, 5-year plan, 7-year plan, 10-year plan? How are those things working out for you? How does your life look going forward? Where do you benchmark your checks to say you've arrived where you want to arrive at the time? Where are those? Are you using them? If you're not using them, maybe that's because you actually don't have it. So at some point, you're going to have to sit down with yourself before you start doing anything different. This is not, it's necessary. It's very necessary. If you have children, they can see you. Not only can they see you, but the role model role starts at home. So everything that you are as a mother, your daughter is set to become. Everything that you are as a mother, your son is set to either go out into the world and explore and try to find that version that's suiting him, that's closest to you, because you're all he knows in his mind and his experiences. And then if they don't like you, if they don't like you and they don't understand you and they don't understand your asceticism, your self-discipline because of your religion, they will find other means to get the same fix or stimulation that you would produce for them, but without the religion. And the coin is going to change again. So you went from being lost to finding yourself, to redirecting not just your expectations, but setting your intentions higher to arrive at the place in which you want to arrive at, only to lose your children when you become the most fulfilling to yourself, to God, and to yourself. That relationship signifies your wholeness, and then you lose your children. We have to work very, very, very mindfully when we're living. You cannot not pay attention. You know, it's very necessary to pay attention, you know. And I wasn't trying to like beat it in, but did you realize that we went from losing ourselves to losing someone significant to us, and or some parts of our life? In the process of losing that person, we were already lost, but we didn't find ourselves until the intentions, because the expectations was not what we wanted it to be, but our intentions are still attached to it, and we're still getting some of the things that we want, and we're arriving, but are we really happy? The happiness component is actually significant for your arrival. What's the point of arriving at a temporary state, existing for a short period of time in this fleeting, loveless romance? Oh, today is beautiful. Oh, tomorrow is horrible. Not saying every day is perfect. Marriage is a vital sign. That's why some of my videos have the vital sign with the infinity, and then the vital sign continues. I use that significantly because the relationship that's keeping everything together is a relationship between you and the source, you and Allah, you and God, you and Yah. That's very significant. Marriage is like a vital sign. All of your relationships are significant to that vital sign. And if you can't do anything, try to get yourself in the direction that you want to go. I feel my earbuds slipping and it's making me nervous. I don't know. I want to touch it and I'm like, maybe I should just let it fall and just go without. I don't know how to use my, technology. You know, I say bump it. I'm just gonna let it go, because I'm just gonna let it go. My apologies. I don't even know what that looks like. The iPhone is like so trippy to me. If it falls, maybe you'll still be able to hear me, because I think they fall in my lap. So I'll just move myself. Technology is in you. But we still can arrive. See, it just felt, I felt it. We can still arrive at a state. There it goes. See it? We can still arrive at a state in which we wish to exhibit our highest good to ourselves. You know, everybody, let me say this. Everybody in your life benefits from you when you're at your best. You benefit the most. Okay? I'll repeat myself. Everybody in your life benefits from you when you're at your best. You benefit the most. And that is just one of those ginormous pills that we have to learn to swallow. Because for some strange reason, we keep saying, you're going to accept me the way that I am. You're going to love me the way I am. Or even the worst thing is, and this is just a tiny, I don't even have a space to make it small enough, but this is just a tiny example. You show up to a person in a way, they accept you, and then over time, they start to remember themselves and their expectations are set higher. I feel like it's only fair at some point to reintroduce yourself to this person. I feel like it's only fair. Men and women can do it. I'm not sexist, feminist in my own way, and misogynistic for those who have this whatever. I feel like at a certain point in your life, at a certain point in every relationship, when you get to a place of your arrival, you realize that you can do things that make you happy to be you. I feel like you should reintroduce yourself. Why not? You've arrived at a place in which you are happy to be yourself. It almost merits hey, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Alanisa Sada Salahadin. It's a blessing to wake up, but it's a whole nother blessing to wake up while you're awake. You're paying attention, meaning that you're using all of your innate faculties in alignment with God to get what you want out of your life. You know, you need to pay attention to your life. You have to pay attention to how your substance is being used, because you're using, every part of you is being used, whether you pay attention to it or not. Only one part of the brain they say is involuntary, which is the brainstem, and the brainstem is the heartbeat, the breathing, and like blinking and swallowing and things of that nature. But the kicker is the brainstem is actually connected to the spine, which is holding you upright in your posture. Everything about the things, your body mechanics, requires that same involuntary function. How beautiful is that? The things that we are using the most really don't require us to direct it, but what happens when you can? For my sisters, how is your posture? Check your posture. I'm not saying you gotta get all feminine, but I'm saying some of my sisters, like, y'all sit like dudes. You have this aggressive disposition, and you want a man to take you serious as a woman, and you're asserting yourself, not even knowing, not even paying attention. Posture. Check your posture. Adjust your posture. You know, men have that too. They get frumpy and they get, men in confidence, stand upright, erect their spines, and hold themselves up. You know, my sisters, we're not long overdue for a real whooping, but it's just so much to correct as a woman who's lived this life and have been through so much. I wish to cover my sisters with grace, and allow you to, one, recover yourself from whatever it is that you went through that was a loss, whether it was losing yourself, losing your way, losing your direction, whether it was losing your mother, your father, your best friend, losing your grandmother, grandfather, losing a child. I wish to cover you with grace and tell you that you can recover, that your arrival is only waiting on you to want it. It's just a redirecting. It's a reasserting yourself in your life intentionally. It's a shift of mindset. It's a shift of direction. It is a shift of environment. It is a shift of a huge magnitude. But you can do it in stages. You don't like where you live, find a place that suits your highest level, your version of you that you can afford. Let's be realistic. I think a lot of people too. Okay, I guess I got another rant. Just a small one though. I think a lot of people have higher expectations than they should for their budget. You know, I'm not judging anyone based on their situation and circumstances, but if you live in a hood, you don't really have to look like it. You can live in the worst part of the world and never look like it. You can have a level of sophistication and class about yourself. Yo, real talk. I was raised in Oakland, California, but I'm from Ponchatoula, Louisiana, and very proud of it. Love everything about it. The significance for me of having Southern roots tied into such a, I don't even know what, the Bay is dope to me. Like, it's just, even when I touch down, get off a plane and feel the vibration of the city itself. It's been a couple of years since I've been back, but it's like a charge instantly to me because I remember being young and growing up and seeing everything change, but then being influenced by certain things and or not, the positives and the negatives, and still being able to kind of like, nope, that's not for me. Don't want to do that. Oh, did that too long. Oh, gotta get, you know, it's so funny just thinking about it, but it's like you literally learn how to like, I can't move, I can't do a hyphy shoulder without thinking about this mic. Is stressing me out, and I need it. I need the earbud. But my point is, your environment around you. Sometimes we get so tapped into it that we feel like we have to allow it a part of us. We don't. You don't have to wear it. You don't have to wear nothing but what you want to wear inside of you, outside of you. You heard me? You don't have to put nothing on you that you don't want on you from the inside of you, outside. Meaning that if it don't make you happy on the inside, don't try to dress it up and jazz it up. And I mean, you like being ratchet, okay, fine. Suit yourself. But if that's not the direction that you really want your life, you don't want people really looking at you like everywhere you go, you're going to be holding your head to the side, talking crazy. You don't want that attention, then change. Change your nails, change your hair, change your language. 3 things that normally make a woman ratchet. I'm just saying. Nails, hair, and all of that. You can do it. We can do it. You know, I'm not saying you have to, wear a hijab like me. I'm not saying you have to wear a turban. I'm not saying you have to cover your head at all. God covers us all. Let's be real. God covers us all. We all have an extended amount of grace that God has given us. What we're utilizing it for is often what we're dissatisfied, because we think that God is forsaking us and abandoning us, when in all truth, we're forsaking and abandoning ourselves based on our decisions. And so I say again, you can rediscover yourself, no matter how many losses you've taken. Because now I'm thinking about the Bay, and the significance of that is there had become a time where losses were so abundant, I just could not take it. I mean, I couldn't take it. The sorrow was overwhelming me. Funerals, like, I know it hasn't gotten any better now, but just thinking about when I was there, the sorrows were overwhelming. I'm not even available for funerals. I'm not. There's not a place in me with like, we have to close this portal inside of us that requires us to be ready to dress up and arrive for that and not for ourselves. We are here for so many reasons. In all truth, we're here for multiple reasons, but we are only here for one purpose. God gets all the glory by the alhamdulillah, the greatness that we can produce in this life. But greatness requires a certain level of intention, focus, tenaciousness, perseverance. It's just those words. There's more words to describe a discovery. after having suffered a severe loss looks like. But the point is, you don't give up. You don't give up on God. You don't give up on yourself. You know? And so this is an invitation for any of my sisters to whom have lost their way because they've had those losses. Their expectations got the best of them. Now they are working on their intentions. Not just intentions and attention, so that they can arrive at the place, the woman, whoever she is to her. You're her. I'm her over here. Her and her dean represents whomever she is to herself. I can't be my sister's sister if I'm her. My sister is her too. So I invite all my sisters to arrive in your life like I am her, because you are her. But who is she? Find her, discover her, reintroduce her. Okay? I love you. Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. Thank you all for arriving again. This is Alanisa. I am Alanisa Sada. I am her. Alanisa Sada Salah Hadeen. This is her and her dean. Hold on. I have my phone. This is her and her dean. My phone is actually dying. Go figure. Her and her dean. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please, 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 if you have it in your heart, the message is beautiful to you. It may be beautiful to someone else. Please share. Don't forget to like. If you feel compelled to comment. But please definitely subscribe and help your sister. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Tabarakallah. Until next time. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.